Yo, what's up guys? So here I'm back with another tutorial, and today I'm going to talk about pretty much the most important thing you should know about Renegade when you're playing it online, whether it be a clan war or you're just playing world rides or the tournament. You know, there's a lot of Renegade tournaments, so you can probably improve your skills just by watching this video. So let's get started. So I'm going to just quickly put down like the short names of the maps so you know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to break down what maps you should be picking for each team, whether you're a Renegade or a catcher. So let's start with playing with items. So if you're playing with items, Battle Stadium is a runner map and Sweet Sweet Kingdom is a catcher map. But although if you're playing a 5v5 or 6v6, it may be harder to win as the catcher. But regardless, it's still a catcher map. Dragon Palace is also a catching map. Lunar Colony is a running map. Woohoo is a catching map. Mansion is a catching map. Battle Course 1 is a running map. And Urchin is a running map as well. And if you are playing without items, then Dragon Palace can then turn into a catching map if you have learned the P-Hop, which I've made a video about in the past. And also, Battle Course 1 turns into a catching map. And the reason this is because when you're playing without items, you are pretty much guaranteed dead, as the cell, there's a singular cell and it's surrounded by grass. So that's pretty much insta-death if you try to save. So now I'm going to talk about the actual gameplay itself, like what you should be doing as the cop or the Renegade. So as the cop, of course, you're going to have to try to catch everybody. So things to know about being the cop. When you catch somebody, there will appear a cage, but it will take about 3 seconds for them to spawn in the cage after you actually catch them. And it is also important to know that when you are playing, it is way harder to win as a cop with items, but it is also very easy to win as a cop in itemless. So if you see that your piranha siren starts to light up or it starts to do a sound effect, then that indicates that somebody is literally right next to you. And if you can't see them in your field of vision within the game, then you can look at the minimap, because it will expose where they are in the map, so you should use that as a reference. So it's also important to know that when your teammates' sirens go off, then you can also see who got exposed in the minimap. Now, I don't see enough of this in World Rides, but I really urge that when you are a cop, you should have at least 1 or 2 people guarding the cell. Because if you just don't guard the cell, then they're just going to save for free. Like, there's literally no point in playing the game if they're going to just save every time. So please make sure to have a few people guarding the cells. Please. Also, before guarding, you should probably get equipped with triple greens or retro, since they are the most effective items to have while guarding a cell. Now, if you're the person that's not guarding the cell and you're just out and about, then you should probably help your teammates double cross people. And this is a really effective strategy, because as somebody in your team is chasing them, then the person that's double crossing will probably catch them off guard, and that will be a free easy catch. So now, as the Renegade, your main goal is to literally not die. If y'all as a team just all get caught, then y'all lose pretty much. So as I said before, if you are a runner in itemless, then it's gonna be harder to win. And if you are a runner with items, then it's gonna be easier to win. So in this case, you should probably try to hide as much as you can up until when people actually try to find you, because you need to maximize the time of you being alive. As I mentioned in the catching section of this video, usually when you're caught or you catch somebody, it takes 3 seconds for them to appear in the cell. So you should probably take advantage of this and try to learn how to insta save, which is pretty much getting to the cell before the button activates to like show up that they were caught. Now, this is a really important strategy, because the people who are catching will probably not be ready in position to like start guarding the cell properly. So since they won't usually have time to react to you coming, you should pretty much get the free save. If you're just gonna go for a normal save though, you should probably get prepared to save with a good item, such as a mushroom, boomerang, or horn, since they're the most reliable items to like actually successfully save and not get caught. By the way, for some reason you can pull a star as the runner, so if you're lucky to get one, congratulations, you got the freest win of your life. Also, once you do successfully save, you will have about 2 seconds of invincibility as the guy who saved, and also the guys who are getting freed from the cage. So this excludes anybody else who is not saving or is getting saved. So keep this in mind if 2 people are trying to save at the same time, because if this happens, one of them could actually get caught, since the other person who tried to save but didn't save will not have invisibility frames, so can get instantly caught. If you're in a position where you are the last man alive in your team, then here are two things you can do. The first thing is chain item boxes repeatedly, because the chances of you getting a good item as the last person is very high. So you may even pull a star, which I said. If you hit the lottery, then congratulations. And the second thing is to stay hiding until they find you, and then run around. Because once they find you, they're gonna have a lot of guys come for you, and the more people that try to get you at the same time, the more likely you are able to save the cage, since people will not be guarding it as hard. So you want to just keep running around until you have a good opportunity to save the cage. Or if you want to play safe and you see that the time's about to run out, then you should just keep on running until time's run out, and you win that way as well. Now, in my experience, people in War Rides don't really tend to guard the cell a lot, but elsewhere, if you are playing a competitive Renegade event, you can always assume that there's going to be people guarding the cell, and they might have like 2, 3, even 4 people depending on what the map is. It's also important to note that if there is a map that has two cells, they will probably guard the cell that has more people. So let's say that 4 people got caught and it's 2 of you that are remaining, but there's 3 people in one cell and then 1 person in the other cell. You can always assume that they will probably heavily guard the 3 cell compared to the 1 cell, which means that you'll probably have a greater chance of saving the cell that has less people. So even if you are in the jail cell, you can still help your team. So simply by pressing the A button, like pretty much just going forward, this pretty much activates the sirens of the people guarding, which will also allow you to see them on the minimap. And on top of that, if you pay attention to the minimap, you can also see like there's like a headlight, and this headlight shows like what way the guarders are facing. So this is really insightful for planning. If you're planning on saving, then you can see which ways they're not facing and try to save the opposite direction. Now, a good strategy that runners should do if you have 2 or more people that are still alive is to do the distraction strategy. So pretty much this involves that one person goes to quote unquote save the cell, right? But in reality, they're just trying to get the attention of the guarders who are guarding the cell. And with this distraction, then the other person who's actually going to save can have a really good shot at saving, since the other guarders are distracted by the guy in front of them. And this works 9 times out of 10.
Go center, don't go center.
Oh, don't? Okay, bro.
Why is
Okay,
there
I
2
distracted them, I
people
distracted
after
them.
me?
Oh shit, you did.
I'm here.
Okay, I can't do anymore. Nice distraction.
Thank you.
So now I'm going to talk about all the common campy spots for each map. So in Battle Stadium, the most common spots are in the far bottom and the far top of the map, where you can see like the ramps. That's usually where you start, like behind where you start. Sweet Kingdom, the most common spot is the top of the castle. You can also get away with just like hiding near the mud area near the cell. That works sometimes as well. Lunar Colony, you can hide in the craters, like inside of them. Sometimes people fall for that. But you can also hide before the ramps, or just like be in the general area of where the cell is, which is a pretty common spot to be in. In Dragon Palace, the left and right alleyways outside of the castle area is also a really common spot to be in. In Woohoo Town, at the top of the map, like before the water fountain, that's usually where people hang out to camp. And even in the basketball court or the little grass area in the bottom of the map, I guess, which is kind of goofy, but it works out sometimes. In Luigi's Mansion, the top floor is always like the most go-to spot to be in. In Battle Course 1, all the colored ramps are usually where people hang out if they want to stall for time. And in Urchin Underpass, there's a lot of spots there. So there's the L-shaped area. I mean, not really L-shaped, maybe more like an R. There's also like the sections that will make you elevated once you go on the ramp. And so pretty much all those areas are very common for people to hide in. So as a runner, you should probably chill by these spots, especially on the runner map, since you can stall for time and stay alive for a lot longer. And if you are a catcher, you can use these spots to your advantage and get there before they even start hiding in the first place, which can lead to them getting jump scared and caught. So this strategy is sort of effective for the catchers, but the other runners may catch onto it, so it may not work again. So you may have to just move around the map after that and then catch them off guard again, so that it may work more effectively. So if you're playing Renegade in a competitive setting, then you should probably be aware of how Renegade works, especially if you're playing a tournament or battle lounge or whatever. So it may be different from what type of competitive event it is, but usually if you're the host or your team is hosting, then you're gonna put yourself on the red team, which will allow y'all to be the catchers first. And this is always how it's been. So if you're host, put yourself on red and then you'll be catching first, which also means that the blue team will be running first. Now, I already talked about which maps are good for running and which maps are good for catching, but if you're playing in a competitive setting, then you should probably pick the maps that are the most effective in catching / running. So if you're catching, the most common maps to pick first are Luigi's Mansion and also Sweet Sweet Kingdom. And if you are running, the most common maps to pick first are BC1 and then Urchin Underpass. But if you're playing itemless, then BC1 turns into a Lunar Colony. If your teammates are exceptionally good at a certain map, then it doesn't really hurt to pick it. But these are usually the maps that are most commonly picked first when they are catching or they are running. The matches are also usually 8 rounds. So for the most part, every competitive event usually considers a tie if it's like a complete tie based on points, and not usually in the in-game score 4-4. So keep that in mind. Of course, if you're calling as well, then this also makes you very advantageous when you're playing. If it looks like the teams are about to tie, then you should probably pick up on how many catches you've done, how many people are left from the cell, because all these points really matter at the end. So you should probably keep in mind on how risky you want to play or how safe you want to play, depending if you're going to tie or not. So one thing I forgot to mention, you should probably go for coins as well, because they make you go faster, just like race. So both teams should definitely go for them. If you're the catcher, if you get 10 coins, then you may have an easier time trying to catch the other runners. And if you're a runner, if you have 10 coins, then you'll probably have an easier time running away from the catchers. So be sure to get all the coins. By the way, you're not the only one who knows these strategies. So keep in mind counterplay or juking, all that really comes into play. Trying to play mind games, all that stuff. So yeah, that's all the tips I have for today. There's probably way more tips that I've missed. I'm not a Renegade main, by the way. I just play Renegade from time to time, even though I don't like it sometimes. But yeah, hopefully y'all learned something new, and if y'all have learned something new, please let me know in the comment section below, and let me know if I missed any tips, so y'all can also put it down there. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and peace out.